you get the bracelets on so that we can track, and then we're going to hypnotize you so you don't panic, you react. And, I studied Taekwondo. I think that's why I threw a punch before I thought about anything else. My reactive measure was knock this guy off his feet. She couldn't believe it. She goes, "You're going to get yourself killed because he's going to fight back, the next time." But he stays away from me. He absolutely stays away from me. But what are some of the things that we could do to? You said you've got the PPE under control. Do y'all have your PPE equipment now, or?
We were lucky to get a delivery this past week from. We're part of a accountable care organization, Allidaid, and they had arranged for us to get a lot of masks, but the masks for the patients, not for us. So we still have a shortage of N95 masks. We were lucky that one of the up-and-coming Medicaid companies that's trying to get into the managed care space, Centene, sent us a bunch of masks because I'm on their board. So they said, okay, let's see what we can do for our people. So we got a few from them, 35, but every bit helps. But we still haven't had a good amount of N95s come to us.
I've got some. I got a backlog order. I'm not a backlog order. They over delivered in one of the facilities.
Well, we'll be talking.
So we'll talk after this because they're looking for, they got to make a little bit of money because they paid for them, but they overloaded. They got bought too many. So.
Sounds good to me.
Dr. Arthur, I believe that we need N95 masks for every single day. Do you think we can carry the N95 mask for a week or maybe a month?
You have to because of the shortage. So, we're using the protocols on disinfecting the masks. I put mine in the sunlight. I just put it on my dashboard and let the sun burn it up.
Oh, that's smart.
You could use peroxide.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
It's better to get it on the sun, basically.
What we don't know, but I don't think I've been looking, but I haven't seen a study on how the fibers degrade each time you do a disinfection and if the virus can get through. So once I see a study like that, then we'll know more. We just know that when people do the disinfection studies, there's no virus on it the next day. So it's clean from the virus, but how much is it protecting you from the virus? I haven't seen a study about that yet. So, but you do what you do. This is better than nothing, and it's better than running out.
Yeah, it's safer. It's safer than no mask at all. And so many people are making their own homemade mask. And I've been looking at some. They got some that are filled with some kind of carbon filter, and but it'd be nice to get some that just pop off and you throw in the wash machine once a week, or you put in your dishwashing, wherever you wash your dishes and sanitize them.
So I just got a brand new mask cover. There's a fashion house in Raleigh called Gray Chenier that just opened. And unfortunately, coronavirus hit when they were about to open their line. So they sent me their haute couture leather mask cover so I could be in style.
I love it. That is so.
So you can still be fashionable and take care of coronavirus. So that was really cool.
Do you just wear it, or do you have to put another one under it?
Oh, you have to wear an N95 under it.
Okay.
For me, at least, with the work that I do, of course. But I'm using that when I'm out in the community.
There you go. I just hope that they're putting another one under it, not just wearing the fancy part. But
right. No, I'm putting my N95 under it. And amazingly, I thought the leather would keep me from breathing, but actually I could breathe pretty good through it.
That's nice to know. That's really nice to know. I'm looking at alternatives. I still like Darth Vader's mask, because it covers my hair, it kind of clips on, and, I'm good. I just need to be able to breathe. But I think Darth Vader was on it because he's also got that laser. And I was wondering, why does he have that laser saber? Now I know. So now we got the breathing mask that's really containable, and the lasers to kill the germs that are out there, right? Because we know that the lasers kill the germs, so they say. Is that true?
No, that's for social distancing. The laser.
Who's going to stay near? Yeah, who's going to stay near me with a saber, right?
And it's also for when the social unrest occurs because people have been locked up too much.
See, that's what I'm afraid of. I'm not the virus is almost contained. I'm afraid of the crazy people when they get out.
For Dr. Arthur, I think that people they should do the haircut, and they should, I think, clean their beard as well during COVID. Because
I had a beard before all this, but I needed my mask to fit to be able to filter, so gone. It was a nice fashion statement when it
Less hairs on your...
Yeah, I cut my hair a lot shorter because I knew I wasn't going to get a haircut for a month and a half. So,
And
this is the same haircut.
It's very stylish. I kind of like the new haircut he's got. I noticed it the day he showed. I'm like, wow, did you go to a salon? It looks great. He's like, no, I did it myself. But yeah, these are just things I guess we have to think about. That's what I keep telling people. You know, it's one thing you go out with all of this on, but when I get home, I'm going to have to shower or do something with my hair because it's going to get in my hair. It's going to get on my outer clothes. I can throw in the laundry room and sanitize them because I have a sanitizer in there. But all of these other parts of I guess we're just going to have to shower when we get home.
Mm-hmm.
Because your hair, I mean, that scares me too, because I got a lot of it. It keeps growing. I can't get it cut right now. So
I think the best COVID preventive look is what Willie is having without hairs.
Bald is bad. He's bringing out the bald. Bald is bad. That's right.
I'm going to get my Willie haircut tomorrow.
There you go. It's easy for my hair, but yeah, we're going to make bald is bad look because
Dr. Arthur, we have Dr. David joining us from
David.
Hollywood. Good evening. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
How are things in your research world? Share a little bit with us.
Well, my research world is I've got a camera on my face, but what you can't see is my articles about quercetin. So there's a whole nutritional world out there that I'm just starting to get into. It's not my real research world. I'm waiting for my research world to be resurrected after 16 years in limbo.
So what are some of the things that you're learning about with what we're dealing with right now? You had some interesting things, you know, you've shared some success stories of the asthma treatments working well with COVID patients. Are there some other findings that you're finding out?
Well, it seemed, I mean, the problem here in Miami is that we don't have testing. And I'm not sure what it's like in Raleigh, but so I mean, there's some people with classic symptoms. I just came across one this morning, and she actually got tested yesterday, but it'll be next week sometime before we ever hear about it. Meanwhile, you have to treat her for something, and so I'm using quercetin for her because of this asthma patient that I'm waiting on his antibodies to send off his case report. But until I got the asthma patient, I was treating everybody with prednisone as if they were asthma patients. And that didn't really work with the asthma guy. I mean, he did horribly on even high-dose prednisone. He's still suffering from the acne from 120 a day of prednisone. But it didn't do anything for his for the burning in his chest and chest pain and shortness of breath. And whereas quercetin, a couple doses made it go away. So I now think, since quercetin is so harmless, and people have been excited about quercetin for ages because it's a great antioxidant and looks like it should be very helpful. It's just been very hard to show that it's useful for anything. Now it looks like there are all these quercetin researchers who, if I just email them, maybe they'll start banging their drums for quercetin in the setting of COVID-19. It's clear that you can't get anywhere without a team of like-minded fanatics. And so there are the vaccine fanatics, and they seem to control everything we hear. There were the quarantine sequestration fanatics who've been running the show up to now. But I don't honestly know, even if quercetin works, which I'm convinced it works, I'm taking it myself. I don't know how to get word out, honestly. And even though it seems to me like everybody needs to take something like it if the states are reopening.
What is your thoughts on that, Dr. Art? How does one get the word out if they've got success of certain data? Because you mentioned something too about data just not being presented well.
Oh, well, first of all, the terrible thing about our current medical research system is it's money-based, and you're not going to get any research out there unless there's a product behind it or there's a surgery behind it. So there's a huge bias right now in the way research is presented. So yeah, exactly. Follow, as one of my instructors in finance taught me, follow George Washington. Well, that's Benjamin. If you follow George Washington, then that's how you get the research put out there. But for instance, how much have you heard about what I've talked about hypnosis? Very little, but hypnosis has been out there for a long time. So yes, I agree with you that needs to be published. It needs to be put out there. The first thing is case reports, as you're putting out. And then once the case reports get a lead, then you get a randomized study, or you put some people on it, some people not. And hopefully the medical community looks at it. But the problem is the medical community mainly looks at what's in the journal because it's been put up there by a drug company. But this is the type of stuff where it'll get out there, because when people see, oh, there's good information on the show, that doctor gives good information, then it'll take a spread. Because I was talking about it the last time. The Mediterranean diet is what I recommend all my patients when they're healthy. Oh, yeah. Aside from, the weight loss diets and the portion control diets, Mediterranean and the capers and the things that contain the substances you're talking about are excellent antioxidants, and life expectancy is longer if you eat a Mediterranean diet, which is high in capers. So I fully agree that the evidence is already out there. You just have to prove it, but you're not going to get it through the usual biased, commercialized system of medical information right now.
Well, it's like you don't see them pushing out commercials to eat more oranges, but they'll push out eat more Pringles, right? Or just goofy commercials of drink more Coke, which Coke to me just, I enjoy a good Coke whenever I can, but it can become very addictive, but it just turns you into one big blob.
What makes me sick is in the journals right now, I see more articles on the financial impact of coronavirus on medical systems and all, and I still haven't seen many articles on the care of a coronavirus patient after the hospital.
I haven't either. I haven't heard about it. I have not heard one report from any recovered patients.
And that's what I need to know right now.
So what exactly, are they signing a waiver when they get treated with COVID that they don't talk to the press and they don't talk to anybody? Are they signing?
Not that I know of.
Because the only thing we heard was, there's one or two people who were like, oh, thanks to Donald Trump, I'm taking this hydroxychloroquine and I'm cured. That was the only two patients I heard.
Yep. I've not heard one. Well, that's the thing. Those studies are out there and they're showing good promise, and they're showing, it's still, they're not up to par as far as a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled study. But the ethical issue is, do you do a randomization and control studies and not give the medication to someone when there's a lot of evidence there that the case studies are showing that it works? Right. So we're in a catch-22 there, because we're in a crisis. People are dying, but do you really put people in the control group where they don't get the medication and let them die?
And also, where you talk about hypnotizing people, a lot of doctors are unfortunate up in New York area, and the patients are dying at a massive amount, a rate that to the point that some of the doctors are unable and incapable of dealing with it. And one committed suicide, an EMT committed suicide because it was, I guess, more than what they could handle. Maybe they had other problems, but is there something that we can do, maybe even in a meditation state, to help maybe hypnotize ourselves to not be so overwhelmed with this?
Just any meditation, even just 1 minute a day is all it takes. Breathing 4 breaths in a row. I think Dr. Wheel in Arizona taught the 4-7-8 breathing technique. That's what I use. I'll do it for 4 rounds and my shoulders will drop instantly. But I'm lucky because I've hypnotized myself to be able to get an instant relaxation from that. But here's the problem. A lot of, we are taught in medicine to suck it up, just be tough. You're going to deal with this. You just have to suck it up. And that's not good right now. You can't just suck it up. You hold all of that in, and then you go home and maybe perform some emotional abuse on your family members. You can't do that. So 1 minute of deep breathing will clear your brain from all the chatter of, oh my goodness, my coronavirus, my life, my finances. You have to learn to quiet your brain. And the problem is a lot of people in medicine don't have the muscle memory for that. So meditation and relaxation is a muscle memory system. It's just like a sport. If you're good at a sport, the first time you swung a golf club or a baseball bat, the ball went all over the place. It didn't go straight or point at right field when you're Babe Ruth and the ball goes right to right field and you hit a home run. It takes practice and muscle memory. Meditation is the same. The first time you meditate, your body's going to be tight and your brain's going to be chattering the whole time. After a month of practicing just for 1 minute or 60 seconds, your brain is quiet and your shoulders drop. But you have to learn the muscle memory for that 1 minute before you can go to 2 minutes or 3 minutes. We're not asking people to be Buddhist monks and shave their head like Willie and whip themselves and do it for 7 days straight. You can't, they practice that for years. Americans, the American version of meditation I teach is sit down and shut up for a minute, because that's what Americans respond to. Punk rock version of meditation. Sit down and shut up and just be quiet. And
a rap song.
Exactly. It's a little bit like heavy fisted, but when you do it for a month, all of a sudden your chatter stops for a whole minute. And then we can get to 2 minutes, then 3 minutes, then 5 minutes. Then all of a sudden you can do it for an hour. And then I don't know if you saw the movie that just came out that has all this controversy. It's called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And it's a meditation video on how you can contact UFOs to show up in your backyard when you meditate.
I'm in. No drugs involved. That's good. Because you can adjust your mental state of mind. And, it's funny you say that, because when I first started my prayer sessions, when I first did the lockdown, because I started before the U.S. did, I decided to do prayer every day. And it was hard to shut my brain out, right? My brain was going everywhere where it should. And I would kept going, stop that. Stop, pray. I had to keep telling myself to pray. Mm-hmm. It's funny how you say, because your shoulders do kind of like you get this, I could do a 30-minute now without my brain going everywhere all the time. It was hard. I will tell you what, hard to do. But I don't bring my phone in there. Everything's gone. Everything's out, right? Just anything that could, because I am interrupted driven. Most of the world is, right? You probably are, but I am interrupted driven. And it is easy to, if I'm in work, to interrupt me and say, okay, I'll just switch over and do this. And so to pray and meditate is very, very hard. I got to make sure there's no interruptions.
That one devastating piece of news we heard was the ER physician in New York at one of the busiest hospitals for coronavirus committed suicide. And you're hearing all the reports. There was nothing in her life that would have led anyone to believe she was depressed, because she kept with it. She was doing the job, but she committed suicide. So this was anticipated before all this happened. Like you saw the app programs like Headspace, and I forget the other one. They instantly said, if you're in healthcare, we're giving you the paid for app for free. And I took advantage of that. And I do Headspace every day because I need that ding reminder to say, hey, it's time to meditate for your 1 minute. Because like you said, we're interruption driven. So interrupt me to meditate too. So the app interrupts me and I interrupt myself. Oh, wait, hold on, 1 minute, done. And then I'm back to work. So if you don't get that practice now, your brain's going to fill up with all this chatter of, oh, I lost another patient. And what you're starting to see now is nurses and doctors are starting to get compassion fatigue, where they've had so many bad situations that they start hardening up, and they're starting to feel like Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where, she's dealt with so many psychiatric patients in her life. She just doesn't treat them with any compassion at all. She's like military. And we don't need that right now in the healthcare field. And so you got to keep your own compassion for yourself first, so you can have empathy for others. So meditation is the way you get that.
And her father had talked to the press a little bit. He just said that it was overexhausting. It wasn't that it was underappreciated, because it seemed like the whole world seemed to say thank you to the doctors, but she was just overexhausted. Mm-hmm. And she also had been tested positive with COVID.
And that's the other thing people are asking. Was it the coronavirus that affected her brain, with all the things we now know it does to the brain, inflammation, mini strokes, those things that we're starting to see? People are starting to ask, does coronavirus cause depression? So that's one thing to start looking at.
Well, I think a lack of sleep, having dealt with depression myself over the years because of the chronic disease I have, I have a tendency of falling into that depression realm occasionally. I know what it is now. I can detect it. Does it mean I stop? Sometimes no, but I do get better control over it than what I did many years ago. But it's lack of sleep. I find if I not sleep like you stay in bed sleep, I'm talking about real rest where your body totally closed off and you rested. And my doctors helped me pinpoint that too. They said, Kim, it's when you, and I go, well, I slept 8 hours. And they go, no, you didn't. you weren't sleeping 8 hours. You thought you were sleeping 8 hours. And when they showed me the difference, it was huge. I could overcome it. And I believe in the hypnotist theory. I believe in meditating because I went to a pain psychiatrist who helped teach me these things to overcome the pain if I can't get the medication. Not really overcome the pain, but just overcome that overwhelming thought. So
one of the things that I found most effective, because of our interruption culture and the jobs that we've chosen, I started doing flotation tank therapy in Wilmington. They have a True Rest float spot, and I think one opened up in Charlotte and one was going to open up in Raleigh. But the whole coronavirus thing, you can't use a publicly used flotation tank right now but the magnesium sulfate does kill it because that's how you float. There's tons and tons of Epsom salt. But I would do 30-minute sessions once a week, and I would wear my Fitbit, and my sleep cycles improved tremendously. Like, so just my overall rest improved.
Because I do water therapy. What are you doing in the flotation tank?
Well, it's a complete sensory deprivation. So you can't hear anything except your heartbeat and breathing. You're floating in a tank where the temperature is the exact same temperature as your skin. So you feel like you're literally floating. And, there's no light. So when you open your eyes, it's just as dark as when you close your eyes. And when all those senses are removed, all you have is your brain talking to you. So when your brain's talking to you, it starts, because all your other senses are empty, your brain starts stopping the chatter, and all you do is just have an empty brain. So it's a very intense way of getting yourself to a meditative state. So people who have a hard time meditating, I tell them try the flotation tank. All of a sudden, their brain, they can meditate a lot faster than if I have them do the 1 month at once a day, 1 minute situation. So
part of my therapy, I do a lot of water walking and therapy, but one of my therapies was very similar to what you're talking about, except it wasn't dark. But they would lay me to where my body could float. There was little float things put to where my body would just float in the water, and they would calmly move me. I would close my eyes and they would move my body in a certain format. It was to help my muscles stretch a certain way as well without any restriction. But it was so relaxing and calming. When I got out of there, I was mentally changed, not just physically.
Yeah, I mean, this is all anecdotal, but there are studies about it. But I feel so much mentally sharper for weeks after one session.
Yes, Ankit?
Dr. Arthur, I mean, can someone meditate while sleeping? Is it possible to meditate while sleeping, maybe with a conscious mind or an unconscious mind? What do you have to say about that?
It's funny. I always go when I meditate, like last night I did a meditation session and I woke up after it, but I knew I was meditating. So I was in that lucid dreaming state where I was aware of everything I was doing, but I was asleep because my body felt rested. But I knew I was meditating because I came out of it when I was ready. So yes, my answer is yes, that they're very similar states, but they're not the same, because when you're meditating, you're actually not sleeping because you're actually revving up the brain. To keep the brain quiet takes a lot of brain energy, and it's actually a revving up of the brain, a more higher level of consciousness rather than a lower level of awareness. So you actually ramp up your brain and the activity in the theta stages when you're meditating. So I think they can intermesh and intermeld, but you can do both at the same time. Correct?
Yeah, I've done it before. It was with a doctor's help, I was able to do something similar.
I think Dr. David needs to leave. Dr. David, are you there?
Leaving?
Yep. I'll see you all another time.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye. Nice to meet you, Dr. Apolinario.
Take care. You too.
Bye.
And keep doing what you're doing and get that research out there.
Yeah, that. Let's share the research with me. Maybe I can share it.
Okay, I'll send you the case.
Let's see what we can do about connecting data.
Well, you see how quickly things go viral on YouTube, so use the social channels.
Yeah, but you know what? The viral stuff is usually the really stupid stuff.
Yeah, that's why you want smart doctors like him to be viral too.
Right. Well, we're going to work on that. What we'd like to do is just get some really good video statements of what your research is. And that would be more individual video time. So But
Right.
absolutely.
And my guy, my 18-year-old asthmatic, he would be happy to go on TV.
That's what we need too, or some testimonies, right? We don't have any testimonies of recovered patients. This is what we've been talking about, right?
Yeah, that's just irresponsible news reporting. They should be. You'll see a story here and there. This is what it feels like. But why don't you talk about what it feels like to be great afterward and to feel like you're immune to it and how you're giving away plasma now and all that stuff? Those are really the stories we should have.
They won't come on TV. No, you don't understand. I've reached out. I've read a lot of posts of people who were surviving it, and they would tell their story every day. I breathed in, felt like breathing glass. I ran a fever for 2 days. So you read their bio of what happened, but they will not come on TV. Not one. Not one.
Why not?
I don't know. And I have tried. I mean, we've read the letter from Paulinas, which is probably my favorite letter of the experience, and I would love to get Paulinas on, but nobody will come on TV.
In fact, people who are in Spain, Italy, China, and a couple of more European countries, they don't want to talk about Corona.
And
I think I can find you somebody. Remind me, and I'll get you somebody.
Well, it would be great, even if they came on with you just to talk about the experience, and you too, David. Bring get a guest to come on that somebody who's recovered, just to talk about the experience, because honestly, none of the news media covers any of that. All we see is Trump's face.
You never see a live interview. That is crazy. That
the
really
other
is crazy.
thing is 3 million patients
it's all scripted,
and no
basically.
treatment. Yes, I mean, I find that amazing. And remdesivir, the evidence is very underwhelming. I mean, there's these two curves, the placebo curve and the remdesivir curve, and they go up in parallel. I mean,
right. But you're hearing that the most in the media right now, which is also,
I want to hear.
Just doesn't make any sense.
That's what I keep saying. I don't want to hear the little touting that happened. I want to hear about what the doctors did with you, what your conversations were, what motivated you mentally, because I think mentally is a huge part of surviving any disease. They proved that in the Ebola outbreak back in 2014 in Nigeria. The reason why they were able to have so many survivors that they never had before was the mental state of mind. They truly believed it was the mental state of mind. And I think that that's something we need to gear up for. We talk about the immunity, mental state of mind, good rest. These are things that we need to focus on. But testimony, when you start hearing testimony, your fear kind of depletes a little bit.
Right.
So
we should also work on COVID biographies, patients who are coming out of COVID and they are doing good. Those kind of books or maybe documentaries would be very. I think it would be good for the public who are out and fearing of the COVID. So that would be very inspiring. I mean, but that should be come through a doctor.
Yeah, and I think so. And I think, too, some other things that we're going to be looking forward is, some of the reentry policies, but also equipment that people can get at home to test with, right? Like test yourself for fever, test yourself, like the oxygen meter. Like my boss, Nick, he goes out. What does he do? He buys an oxygen meter because he keeps hearing, oxygen depletion, and he doesn't want to turn blue. So he listened to us when you were on the other day. He goes, so he went and ordered an oxygen meter for his finger.
Yeah, and it's pretty cheap, so why not? And it's good to have in your household, especially if you have an asthmatic.
Right. Yeah. And he's asthmatic. So he's like, I'm getting one of those. And I'm like, I am too. Oh my gosh. So no, but these are good things to talk about. Like, what kind of tools can we do at home to test ourselves? Hearing the testimonies will help give people a little bit of leg up. What's up, Bankit?
And so doctors, I mean, we have two doctors on our panel right now. So I would just, for our viewers, I would like to understand how important is calibration when we are using these kind of mobile devices as compared to the regular devices we have. Okay. Checking the oxygen meter, checking the BPs and checking other stuff, because I think mobile devices have a different, numbers in comparison to the real. Yes, Dr. David. I think he's talking.
He left. Okay. So what do you do about the calibrations? Because that's very important.
Oh, very important. But what would be amazing is if somebody invented a cell phone that would also test you for oxygen levels, and it just had it all incorporated there. Temperature, oxygen levels. Yeah.
It exists. It's the app is there where you can interface there's sensors. We were developing them actually with my invention with SAS. So they wanted to be able to take the meter reader and have the oxygen meter and heart and interface it to an app that goes on the phone. So that has or is being developed.
Yep.
It's not.
And that would be so important to incorporate with telehealth. That way we have the vital signs over a week in our doctor's office with the patient not coming in. So, the big idea is to incorporate, because the world has changed. We're already looking at construction issues with our office. What do we need? What door is going to be where the sick people enter? What door is going to be where the well people enter? We used to have one door because we base it on finances. We want all the people to come in and give us their information on insurance in one door. Well, now that we have this pandemic, we have to reshift and say, okay, this is the sick entry, this is the well entry. We're starting to look at all those construction costs and all that. So it's a different world, and anything that helps. Checking yourself at home temperature wise, checking the oxygen levels like we talked about, just an overall, if you don't feel well, have a good relationship, have a primary care doctor in the first place. A lot of people still don't even have a doctor yet, and they're relying on, rapid treatment centers where they see somebody different every time, sometimes even somebody on TV, where it's important to have a relationship. Because if I know how you cook your food and what kind of activities you do, and if you work at the Smithfield pork plant, I know what questions I should be asking. I know what to check on you. I know what medicines to avoid, better than if you're just walking in and I've never seen you before.
That's a good point.
And so once again, we talked about primary prevention last time. That's a big one. You got to have a relationship with some kind of primary provider. That's somebody you can bounce things off of. Like, one of the great things I have going on now is with the telehealth is, before, I was so busy, I couldn't just pick up the phone and answer their questions. Well, because things have spread out a little bit, the interruption lifestyle, people are coming into me saying, hey, I've got this, this, and this. What should I do? Okay, stay home and let's get you a coronavirus test, but stay home so we don't spread it. And you're quarantined until we get the results, and do this, do this, do this. Go outside, enjoy your time, meditate. So I'm getting to do those little fireside chats with these people in a way that I couldn't do before, which is more important than that 15-minute office visit. So the way things are changing, I'm loving it, because this is what I became a primary care doctor for in the first place.
I was sharing with the team, one of my favorite doctors that I love for many, many years. He was my doctor from 1986 until 2011 or 10. But anyway, and he retired. We said we would retire together, but he beat me to it. But he would do my physical, right? But then he reserved time and we would have tea. And it was all about, at that moment, 30 minutes of how's your life. But he would share his life with me. But he did this with every patient. Because he said it was very important to understand your home life, what you were doing, how you personally felt in here, not just the physical, not just the test results that the blood and the pap smears and stuff like that, but it was just the overall. And I felt better with him. I felt better. So,
and that's good. What you're seeing with me is that's why it's both an art and a science. You have to be good at the science. You have to be good at data, but you also have to be artistic in the way you handle people. And I became a much better doctor when I became a hypnotist, because then I understand the subconscious motivations of things, that you can't just tell somebody eat more vegetables, because when you tell them to eat more vegetables, when they're already binge eating, more vegetables still equals 3,000 calories a day. So then you have to sit down and tell them, oh, well, an elephant is a vegetarian. So it doesn't matter if you're eating vegetarian, if you're going to eat like an elephant, you have to eat the proper amounts. So you get to learn the artistic side of getting people motivated, motivational interviewing, what really drives them. So I always find out, you always ask, well, what are you coming into my office for? Oh, to get my blood pressure taken care of. No, what are you really coming into my office for? Oh, well, my blood pressure is high and you need to adjust my medicines. But why do you need me to adjust your medicines? Because if I don't, I'll die. Well, why don't you want to die? I've got grandkids. Okay, so every day you come in here, when I ask you, why are you coming into my office? It's because I want to be there for my grandkids, not blood pressure or this or that. That's the motivational interview. So when I say you need to quit smoking, doc, it's too hard. I thought you liked your grandkids. Oh, yeah. And then boom, you link the cigarette smoking to they won't see their grandkids, or I put a mental picture in their brains. imagine yourself continuing to smoke 10 years from now, and you've had your stroke and your grandkids are wiping your butt because nobody else will do it.
Right,
no. And I say, okay, imagine yourself 10 or 20 years from now where you quit smoking and you're watching your grandkids at the Olympics getting their gold medals. Okay, I like that better. I said, well, do you see why you need to quit smoking? So every time they pick up the cigarette, they have a mental picture of their grandkids wiping their dirty butt. That's an easy way to quit smoking.
And that is so true, folks. Let me tell you. I mean, you know what? It may sound rude, but it is the honest to goodness truth. When people are dying of that disease, that's what you end up having to do. When you become the caregiver at home and hospice comes in, it's not the nurse taking care of them, it's you. And I didn't mind it. Trust me, I would do it 100 times over because my mother, she actually didn't do anything to cause her cancer that I'm aware of. She never smoked, never drank. Her biggest weakness was dark chocolate. So, but she died a horrible, horrible, painful death of cancer. And that's what I had to do. You're absolutely right. I love that visual. Heck yeah. That's what you have on the advertisement of cigarettes.
Your grandkids wiping your butt. Yeah. See, that should be the Surgeon General's warning. It should be, if you keep smoking, you see yourself having your grandkids do your toileting for you in the future.
And, you know, as much information as we have out there, people still smoke. And that's one of the reasons why I like CVS pharmacy. Is they took the first biggest stand because, you know, pharmacies is where you could buy a lot of cigarettes a long time ago. And they refused. They finally made a policy that they were no more selling cigarettes at their stores anymore. And they said, we know we're going to get a lot of people hating us and dropping business with us. But in reality, their business picked up in the pharmacy part. You know,